coming home. I can't stay there. I got to go home. We take all this stuff home. Kathleen has to feed this stuff 3 times a day. Right? That takes half a day. Then we have to have the blood every morning. A technician comes in, takes blood, takes it to the laboratory. I got this thing stuck up here, and I got this thing stuck over here. Woo! So anyway, we think we're doing okay. She's washing it and scrubbing it and all this. Whatever he says, that's what we do. So we go back in there, and this guy, I don't know what's the matter with him. He keeps saying it's doing good, this specialist. You know, I said, yeah, it's doing all right, and it sure wasn't. So anyway, this infection had eaten through the ankle bone down here to the point where this part was flopping around. Remember that? And this guy, we had to go to a special guy who made a metal splint that was screwed into the 2 parts of the bones to keep them from falling, keep your foot from falling off. We're going through all this. Unbelievable.
Do you think everybody wants to hear?
Yeah, this is part of life, isn't it? Maybe somebody will get some hope from this. Who knows? This may go down in history. So anyway, this is what happens. Then we have to cut my pants all to pieces because you can't get it over this great big piece of metal crap. So anyway, we go with that. Oh, it's doing fine. Oh, it's doing real good. I said, oh, that's nice. One morning I get up, Kathleen looks at the bottom of my foot. And it's as black as the ace of spades. And she didn't know what the heck to do. She called up our regular doctor, and he said, get him back into the hospital, and we'll go from there. We go back to the hospital, and the doctor sees that, and boy, the surgeon comes in, goes right to the operating room, and that's when they amputated the leg. But even that wasn't bad. I had a technique I would like to teach it to people who are going to have surgery. My technique was, because I was a member of the profession, and I know what people didn't want, especially in dentistry. They hated you, not personally, but they hated what you were doing, and they were scared to death. You had to make it so that they got confidence in you and not hurt them. That's not asking too much. I had every kind of anesthetic, Novocaine and Visicaine, right? And I had the strongest stuff you could get. So I knew I eventually wouldn't hurt them because I'm going to keep on shooting them till it didn't hurt. Now, a lot of doctors, I saw this, dentists too, they were terrible. They get you in the chair and they put you back and they give you a little Novocaine and they start to work. And they say, does that hurt? And you say, yes. But forget it, because he's going to go on and do it anyway. Right? He hasn't got time to mess around with you. Not old Charlie. I got another type of Novocaine, harder, stronger. And I kept shooting that thing until there was no pain. I didn't care for 6 patients sitting out there. And that was my reputation, was built that way. She knows that. Not hurting anybody. You tell a patient, does it hurt? And they say, oh, yeah, doc, it hurts. And you say, I'll be through in a half an hour. Don't worry about it. And I've seen that go on. That's terrible. You don't hurt people. So my technique worked from my own experience. I'm going down to the operating room, and in the operating room they have 60 different anesthetists. You got to be lucky and get a good one. They're not all good, I can tell you. Not all dentists are good either. So I'm down there in the operating room. It's a God's true story. And I'm laying on a table. I got a skull cap on and a gown, you know, and this guy comes over and he says, how you doing, Dr. Steiger? He sees my name on the table. I said, I'm doing fine. He says, well, I'm going to be your anesthetist. I said, I'm going to tell you a secret. You can do anything you want today. I don't care how long it takes, when it starts and when it finishes, but I do not, this is a true story, I do not want to feel 1 iota of pain. And boy, he opened his eyes and he goes back and gets a better kind. I never felt a pain anywhere, anytime. And I went through how many surgeries? 8 surgeries without one pain. And that's pretty good. And she'd see me come back to the room, and I've been up there hours and hours, and I would be just as cheerful as what time is it? Because I didn't have any pain. Pain, you cannot forget pain. Pain is indelibly stuck in your head. If you had a bad experience, you're going to get that same feeling. I never had any problem. She knows that. But I had a terrible time. I couldn't eat. And the hours were going by. Jesus, I had a clock, great big clock up on the wall. And I would say every tick of that clock means that's one more tick till I'm out of here. And that went on that way for 29 days. And I got through it. And of course, what happened? Oh, when the leg was removed, I never went into depression, did I? No, I never had any depression. I said, God damn it, why'd that happen to me or whatever? No, I accepted whatever came along because it had to be. What are you going to blame? So anyway, to make this story shorter, I get home, and then we got to first start with therapy. Whew. Well, not only that, we had to have intravenous injection of antibiotics for about 6 weeks. She did all that. They had a needle stuck in her, and she just connected every morning and every evening. We spent all day long between feeding this tube and pushing the stuff in this side. We didn't have time to do anything. It was horrible. And then we got people coming all day long. One nurse comes real early to take the blood, and one nurse comes to take my temperature. You know, so you really have no way to relax. So we finally go through that. It's 8 weeks of antibiotics. Yeah, 8 weeks of antibiotics, 8 weeks of this liquid stuff. Then the hard part starts. Now you have to take therapy. And we have somebody comes to the house. Does she come every day? Every day, and she massages my muscles and all this, right? So that takes up a half a day. So then we finally get to the point where we're going to go to St. John's Mercy for therapy, didn't we? Well, anyway, this was funny because we got there in November, and it was about 3 weeks away from Thanksgiving. And I said to Kathleen, I'm going home for Thanksgiving dinner. And she said, no, don't be in a hurry, don't be in a rush. I said, I'm going home for Thanksgiving dinner. And everybody said, oh no, he ain't going home for Thanksgiving dinner. So I made a deal. I always make deals. I made a deal with the therapist. And see, you've always got to find something to keep you occupied. In the therapy room, the floor is made of 1-foot tiles. You know, regular tile. And it's made that way purposely because the therapy guy or woman counts that by the number of feet you are able to walk. She counts the number of little blocks. She said to me, this is a true story, she said, I'll tell you, when you can walk 72 of those, I'll let you go home. I said, lady, get ready to pack me up. You gotta walk on a walker with 1 foot. You gotta do 72 feet. Each one's a foot. Old Charlie did it. Charlie was home for Thanksgiving dinner, and I had a wonderful time. But the worst part of it is, we're in the hospital, we're going home for Thanksgiving dinner, and we can stay Saturday, what was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, come back Sunday, except there's a government regulation. If you don't check in within the regular 24 hours, you lose your room. That's a government regulation. So she had to bring me back at 8 o'clock on Thursday, 8 o'clock, so on. And we did it, but I got to go home though. I said, I'm going, and boy, I did. So to get on with the rest of it, I had to go to therapy for about a year. We went every day, didn't we? Holy cow. Every day. Up here on Olive Street Road, there was a therapy department. Not connected to the hospital because we wanted to go somewhere close. And it was right up the street. Every day we go there. So we go there for an hour, an hour. And boy, I mean, they're tough. And they have to be. You cannot say, I can't do it. Don't ever say that. You know, don't say I can't do it, because you're going to do it. And that's the way you get well. If they play into your baloney, you know, your complaints, you never get anywhere, because everybody wants to sit down. Nobody wants to stand up when you're weak and you're sick and you want to sit down. You don't sit. She stayed there all that time while I'm doing this. So anyway, we get up and we start walking with the walker, and it gets easier and easier, right? Okay. So then the final test, it's like going to school. I gotta pass the test. The final test is, they have a basement there. Do you ever see that? It's got 14 steps going down, just like this. Yoo-hoo! She says, we're going downstairs and practice your golf game. I said, that sounds good, okay. So I gotta crawl down those steps. Nobody to help you. They got railings. Gotta go down. And, oh man, it's just like this. So I go down there, and they got a golf range set up there. The tee, you put the ball on there, and they give you a golf club. I can't hardly stand up, but you gotta hit that ball. Well, pretty soon I was able to do it. I'm hitting the ball. But there was a piece in there that there's a derailment here. And the derailment is, when I was over at St. John's Mercy, I was in their therapy department. This doctor makes a therapist who works on artificial legs come over and measure me for a splint or some damn thing. Oh, it's like a sheath that you have to put on it. Because after you have surgery, you have a swelling. And you got to get the swelling down before they can make an artificial leg. So this guy is a doctor, and he's supposed to be a specialist. You don't know what the heck he's doing, because he got me into real trouble. See, in order to get this thing on, see, I had stitches. I was all stitched up, all the way around. And the guy that makes the artificial leg came to the hospital, and he said, I have an order here from Dr. So-and-so that you're to be fitted for, they call it a stump shrinker. They call this, what's left of your leg, a stump, which is very embarrassing. And he says I should make you this elastic thing, get the swelling down. But he said, we don't usually make these until the stitches are out. But your doctor says do it. So I can't hardly buck him, so I'm going to make it for you. He makes this thing, and he brings it over. I got all these stitches in there. Brings the thing over, and oh, it's so painful, it's unbelievable to pull this thing on. And Kathleen is doing it for me. The other guy, I didn't want him to touch me. She's doing it morning and night. She has to take it off, wash it off, stroke her, and then put it back on. Oh, you could hear me crying down the hall. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes it doesn't pay to follow instructions that you know are wrong, because we really created a problem. We broke those stitches open by doing this technique. The guy who makes these said, we don't usually do this until the stitches are out. But I said, well, I'm going to follow orders, and he wants it on, I'm going to put it on. So anyway, we have to be rushed down to the hospital, all infected, more surgery, back in the operating room, in the hospital, right? Again. Okay, that goes on and on like that. And we had 7 or 8 of these operations. And I don't know how much money we spent in that hospital, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But Medicare paid all that good stuff. What a grueling year or so. And we get fitted for the new leg. And then in order to learn how to walk with one leg, you have to go every day and do a little bit. You know, you walk a little bit. And every day you go there for months and months and months. In the first place, try to tie one of your legs behind your back, and I'd like to see you walk. Pretty hard to do. Now, I've seen young people who are born with one leg or no leg,